I worked the overnight shift at a gas station off the interstate for almost 2 years. 11 at night to 7 in the morning. Alone. Just me, the hum of the coolers, and whoever the highway decided to send in. You get used to it. The quiet, the regulars, the way headlights sweep across the lot and you already know who it is before they park. You also learn to read people fast. When you work nights alone, that instinct isn't paranoia. It's the job. This was a Tuesday. Dead, even for a Tuesday. I hadn't seen a car in over an hour. Then the phone rang. Not my cell, the store line. The one nobody calls at 2 in the morning. I picked up. A man's voice. Calm. Friendly, almost. He asked if we were open. I said yes. We're 24 hours. He asked if I was the only one working. And I did what I always did. I lied. I said, no, my manager's in the back. He went quiet for a second. Then he said, no, he isn't. And he hung up. I told myself it was nothing, a drunk, a wrong number. People say weird things at 2 a.m. But I checked the lot anyway. Empty. I checked the cameras. Empty. I went back to my stool and tried to let it go. 20 minutes later, the phone again. Same voice. Calmer this time. He said, you shouldn't lean on the counter like that. It looks like your back hurts. I froze. Because I was leaning on the counter, right then, with my hand pressed into my lower back. I looked up at the windows. All I could see was my own reflection and the black lot beyond it. The lights inside make the glass a mirror at night. You can't see out. But anyone out there, they can see in. Perfectly. I asked him what he wanted. He didn't answer the question. He just said, you should lock the door. And he hung up again. I didn't move for a second. Then I came around the counter and went for the front door to lock it, and that's when I saw the second set of doors. The stock room, in the back. The door that's supposed to stay shut. It was open, a few inches, dark on the other side. I know I closed it. I close it every night. It was open now. I want to tell you I did something brave. I didn't. I walked out the front door into the lot, in the cold, with no jacket, and I stood by the gas pumps where the cameras and the lights were, and I called the police from my cell, and I did not go back inside. The cops came in maybe 9 minutes. They cleared the store. They checked the stock room, the cooler, the bathroom. Nobody. No sign of forced entry. Back door locked from the inside. One of the officers asked if I'd had the phone calls before. I said no. He didn't say much after that, but he didn't laugh at me either. That's the part I noticed. He took my statement seriously, in a way that made it worse. I quit 2 weeks later. Here's the thing I never figured out. The calls. He knew I was alone. He knew how I was standing. He told me to lock the door, like he was warning me about something. Or like he was the something. And he wanted the door locked so no one could get in to help me. I've gone back and forth on it for years. Was he watching from the lot, playing a game? Or was he already inside, in that dark stock room, calling me on a phone, telling me to seal myself in with him? I never found out who opened that door. And I never found out which one of us he wanted locked in. I did security at an office complex downtown. Graveyard shift. 1 guard, 1 building, 8 floors, all empty after midnight. It's the easiest job in the world, right up until it isn't. The work is simple. You sit at the desk in the lobby, you watch the monitors, and twice a night you walk the building, floor by floor. Check the doors, check the stairwells, log it, go back down. I'd done it for about 8 months. I knew that building better than my own apartment, which is exactly why I noticed when it started being wrong. It was small at first. I'd finish my round, come back down, and on the monitor for the 4th floor, a light would be on. A light I'd just turned off. Up I'd go, off again, down again. Fine for a week. Then it was doors. I'd close a conference room door on my round. 20 minutes later, on the camera, it'd be open. I told myself it was the cleaning crew, but the cleaning crew leaves at 11. I'd watch them badge out on the log. The night it changed for good, I was doing my 2 a.m. round, 3rd floor, and I stopped because I heard something below me. Footsteps. On the 2nd floor, right under me. Walking the same hallway I'd just walked, the same slow pace, the same pauses, like someone checking doors, like someone doing my round, 1 floor behind me. I stood dead still. The footsteps stopped too. I waited. Nothing. So I told myself, sound carries weird in an empty building. Pipes, the HVAC. I kept going. I finished 3, went up to 4. And the footsteps were on 3 now, below me, following. 1 floor back. Always 1 floor back. I did the only thing that made sense. I went to the nearest stairwell to head straight down to the lobby and the desk and the phone. And as I came down the stairs, I had to pass the 2nd floor landing. The door there has a small wire glass window in it. I looked through it as I passed, and there was a man on the other side of the glass, standing in the 2nd floor hallway, facing the door, facing me. He wasn't a tenant. He wasn't dressed like the cleaning crew. He was just a man standing in an empty office hallway at 2 a.m, looking at the door I was behind. I ran down the rest of the stairs. I got to the desk. I pulled up every camera on the 2nd floor. Empty. Every one. No man, no movement. I called my supervisor. He called the police because that's protocol. They walked the building with me. 8 floors, every room. Nobody. And no exit he could have used without crossing a camera or a badge reader. The official explanation was that I'd been spooked and seen my own reflection in the wire glass. I've thought about that a lot. Maybe. The lighting in those stairwells is bad. It's possible. But here's what that explanation doesn't cover. A reflection doesn't walk the floor below you. A reflection doesn't check doors. A reflection doesn't keep itself exactly 1 floor behind you for 20 minutes, matching every stop you make. I transferred to a day post after that. I never walked that building alone again. And to this day, when I climb a staircase in a quiet building, I count the floors, and I listen to make sure nothing's counting them with me. I'm a night nurse. I've worked the overnight floor at the same hospital for 9 years. Nights are a different world in a hospital. The lights go low. Most of the patients sleep. It's just you, a skeleton crew, and the sounds. The monitors, the soft alarms, the squeak of your own shoes on the floor. You learn the rhythm of it, and you learn when something breaks the rhythm. We had a patient, I'll call him Mr. Adler. Elderly, very sick. He wasn't going home, and everyone knew it, including him. He was sharp, though, the kind of old man who watches everything and says little. One night I was doing my rounds and he was awake, sitting up in the dark. He waved me in, and he asked me very calmly, "Does the man in the gray coat work here?" I asked, "What man?" He said there was a man who came late at night, after hours. He'd walk the floor, stand outside certain rooms for a while, never spoke to staff. Then he'd leave before the morning shift came on. I told him visiting hours end at 8 and nobody should be on the floor. I figured he was confused. It happens, especially at night, especially that sick. But he wasn't confused. He said, "He came the night before Mrs. Howe passed, and he stood outside 14. The night before that one went too." I checked the records later. Mrs. Howe, room 14. Both had passed on the nights, he said. I told myself he'd overheard staff talking, that's all. A week later, around 3 in the morning, I was at the station and I looked down the hall. There was a man standing outside a patient room. Gray coat, just standing, facing the door. My whole body went cold. I called out, said visiting hours were over, asked if he needed help. He turned and walked, unhurried, around the corner toward the elevators. I went after him. The hall around the corner was empty. The elevators hadn't moved. The floor numbers were dark. The stairwell door was shut. There was nowhere he'd had time to go. I checked the room he'd been standing outside. It was Mr. Adler's. He was awake, calm. He looked at me and he said, "You saw him too." It wasn't a question. Mr. Adler passed 2 nights later, in his sleep. Nothing unusual. He was very sick and it was expected. But I was the one who found him in the morning, and I couldn't stop thinking about that coat. I reported it, of course I did. Security pulled the footage for the whole week. And this is the part I still can't explain. The cameras on our floor caught me, caught the other nurses, caught every patient's door. They never caught him, not once. Not walking in, not standing in the hall, not leaving. On nights I'd seen him with my own eyes, the footage just showed an empty hallway. They never found out who he was, how he got onto a secure floor, how he left without a single camera or badge reader catching him. I still work nights. I still do my rounds. But I've seen him 3 more times since. Always at the end of a hall, always outside a room, always facing the door. And every time, by the time I reach the morning, I already know whose room it was. I don't call out to him anymore. I just check the chart, and I wait to be proven right.